Blood and Gold, Netflix's latest action film which blends the brutality of the Second World War with the tropes of the spaghetti western. My honest review of this film will contain spoilers throughout, and if you'd like to uncover some hidden gold of your own, check the links to the Horror Exchange below, our top secret project coming soon. So the premise of Blood and Gold is as follows. There's 31 bars of gold hidden away in the small town of Sonnenberg, and there's a few different parties wanting ownership, including the SS. What we receive in this film is less of a hardcore emotional war film exploring the true horrors of the Second World War, and more sheer explosive chaos akin to Inglourious Bastards. Though there are some pretty hardcore themes at play here, the real draw of the film comes from the exciting and well choreographed action sequences. It's bloody, it's crunching, it's destructive, and it all makes for a truly impactful viewing experience. Let's get into it a little deeper. The film opens up with a decorated German soldier named Heinrich who is aiming to locate his lost daughter. However, he is captured by the SS and left to hang on the grounds that Heinrich is seen to have betrayed the fatherland. Though Heinrich is saved by a woman named Elsa, it's a gritty opening scene, especially with the description of what will happen to Heinrich while he's in the noose being described in detail. It'll be a slow, gratuitous death. And right away we get a solid impression of this film's villain pairing of the quietly sinister von Starnfeld and the ruthlessly strong Dörfler. These two make for a brilliant pair of adversaries in the film for different reasons. Von Starnfeld is your often portrayed evil Nazi officer who has a commanding presence and fearful appearance, especially with his partial mask to cover his facial scarring. And in certain moments he's portrayed a bit like a horror villain, particularly when he rises from sleep and intimidates Elsa, sitting up out of focus like the bloody Undertaker. He may be somewhat of a cookie-cutter character when it comes to the SS officers seen in film, though he was a welcome addition in this less serious romp. Dörfler, on the other hand, I thought was a real threat throughout the film, with a thumping good rivalry alongside Heinrich. The two of them get caught up in multiple scraps, and my days do they get intense. Punches are thick, blunt trauma is administered. They just give each other a good bollocking and it makes for cracking viewing. They even have a more personal connection in a somewhat over-the-top way, where after Heinrich is injured, Dörfler actually transfuses his blood into him to keep him alive, simply to interrogate him some more about where the gold is. It's a tad mental, but it also amplifies the desire for the gold, and adds that little extra connection between the two of them. But in fact, most of this film's elements are exaggerated, much to the intentions of it. It's meant to be a blitzing hour and a half of gruesome fun, and I think it delivers that mission statement. Everything from using bouncy, jovial German music from the era during the action scenes to provide a tonal dichotomy, all the way through to many of the kills being utterly mental. Blood and Gold managed to keep me engaged and having a good time for most of the run. I do think it was a slight victim of some pacing problems though. Sure, you need to balance out the craziness with some levity, but from time to time I found some of the dialogue segments to be a bit too padded and long. Not a huge criticism there, but one I thought was worth mentioning. One element of the film I thought was really refreshing to see, for good and sad reasons, was the character of Elsa's disabled brother, Paula. Now we know just how the Nazis viewed the disabled and how they were seen as vermin and eradicated. Here we do get an insight into that discrimination from the SS troop, and it's tough viewing considering how lovable Paula is. He's put through the ringer here, and it's easy to sympathise with him. He does manage to get some offence in himself, as well as a collection of comebacks for the scathing he receives, which was nice to see. However, despite his delightful resilience, he endures a horrible death by being sniped in the back of the head by von Starnfeld and falling down a tower. It did get me rather upset this, because this character didn't deserve this fate. However, I can also appreciate the film making this move, because this was the fate of countless people just like Paula. It's one of the more true-to-life moments in an otherwise comic book-like experience, and I'm grateful at least that they gave this theme some authentic weight. next thing I want to talk about is this film's production value. Really good costume department, really good sets, but the thing that stood out to me was the special effects. Whether it's the blood and gore of the action pieces or destructive explosions, I thought this film looked fantastic throughout. But my key highlight of the film in this department came from von Starnfeld's facial disfigurement. Not only did the effect itself look frightening, but there's one use of it which I thought was unbelievable. After Elsa becomes entangled with von Starnfeld, she sneaks out his cyanide pill from his ring, places it in her mouth, and enters it into von Starnfeld's mouth by kissing him. But when doing this, we actually see the pill enter his mouth through the hole in his cheek. This was amazing, and the realization of this small moment on screen I thought was excellent. All round, Blood and Gold's crew put in a cracking effort to bring these memorable moments to the screen. But what do I think of the overall story itself? It's not strictly a story movie, if you know what I mean. It's the Nazis hunting for hidden treasure. Hardly Schindler's List in that regard. But I do really like how they've woven the spaghetti western motifs into the tapestry. A group of dangerous outsiders take over a small isolated town, hidden treasure up for grabs, a showdown in a church, all capped off with a selection of western genre music to enhance the mood. It's good stuff. The timing of this film is actually pretty coincidental given the recent release and success of Sisu, a Finnish film where a soldier squares off against the SS with plenty of action and golden treasure on the line. With that film's publicity, I really hope that Blood and Gold doesn't get outshone as a comparison. This film definitely is worth a watch. It's not a 3-hour epic, but for what kind of war movie this is, being just over an hour and a half is about the correct length for what it needs. It's got some top-notch conflict, some properly reaction-inducing moments, and a small handful of authentic sincerity linked back to the reality of its source. Overall, Blood and Gold was bloody good fun to me, despite it leaning on many previously established genre rules and regulations. I had a good time with it, and would happily watch it again. But that's just my honest review. What's yours? Let me know down in the comments below. While you're there, don't forget to check out the links to the Horror Exchange, and a sub to the channel if you haven't already would be greatly appreciated to help us towards our next goal of 35,000 subscribers. Thanks in advance. Oh, and if you want to check out some of our other war-related content, we've got a playlist set up called War Videos containing many analytical breakdowns. Anyway, time to stop rambling. I'm Connor from Unleash the Ghouls, hope you enjoyed this video, and cheers out.